Welcome to the Sisterhood Podcast, where faith meets real talk and sisterhood means doing life together. Hosted by Ashley and Megan, this is your space to be seen, heard, and reminded that you don't have to do life or faith alone. We're just two friends chasing Jesus and inviting you into the journey.
Because the road gets sweeter when we walk it together. Whether you're navigating your purpose, building community, or just need a soul refresh, we got you.
So grab your coffee
and pull up a seat at the table.
This is the Sisterhood Podcast. Let's grow in faith together.
Hey friends, welcome back for another episode of the Sisterhood Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Megan, and for this episode, it will just be me and you. Now, before we begin, I want to take a moment to prepare your heart for today's episode. Most weeks, this space feels warm, encouraging, full of life, laughter, faith, deep dives into scripture, and the everyday moments we're walking through together. But today's conversation carries a little more weight. It's honest, it's a little raw, and it reaches into places many of us don't often talk about out loud. We're stepping into grief, specifically my own story of losing my sister 4 years ago during the holiday season. This is a sacred story for me, which is also why I'm not on camera, just in case I need to hide my ugly cry. But it's a story that I hold both with trembling and hope. So wherever you are, driving, hopefully not folding laundry, sitting with your coffee, I want to invite you to take a deep breath and settle in. If you're in a tender season yourself, I pray and hope that this meets you so gently. And if you're not, I hope it helps you see and love the people around you who may be carrying silent sorrow this time of year. Thank you so much for trusting me with this moment and for walking it with me. It is impossible to talk about that day without rewinding back to a couple of days before. It's so interesting how with grief, you can remember so much, but also nothing at all. I remember December 19th, and I remember the phone call. It was a Sunday, and I remember seeing the missed call from my dad at 10:30 in the morning. Had I been living anywhere else or had been anywhere else, I should have been in church, but I wasn't. We had been in South Carolina for a few months, and I was in the playroom with the boys, cleaning and working to get everything ready for my entire family to come stay with us this Christmas. The missed call stopped me, and I just had that feeling. I know you know that one that just makes you kind of sick to your stomach, where you dread it, but you call back anyways. You don't want to know, but you seek out the answer anyways. Honestly, there had been so many times when that feeling had come and gone with the roller coaster my family had been riding for close to a decade. But this time it was different. I remember my dad's words. They found her. I remember the words outside of the hospital. Jane Doe. We don't know. Life support. If you can, you need to come home. I don't remember the order of any of those words, but those words were in that call somewhere. And I don't remember what I said in response. I just remember that wave of numbness that overcame me and kind of collapsing onto the floor, and that silent scream where you can't get it out. It's so deep and so painful that there's no noise, which is wild because you would think it would be the opposite. Like you would think it would make the worst noise. I remember my oldest, Kingston, who at the time would have been 4, just turned 4, dressed up like a T-Rex. And he just started hugging me and holding me and telling me everything was okay in a way that only kids can in a lot of those moments. They just know things. And strangely, and I think a lot of us don't talk about this in the grief, especially when it's accompanying addiction, there was some sense of relief. After years of not knowing where she was, or if she was safe, or if she was alive, if she had food, if she had shelter, if she was in danger, at least now we knew something. Even if that knowing was the worst, even if it hurt the most. One thing about grief for me that is so strange, and people say it all the time, but saying it and knowing it are 2 very different things. But just that 2 emotions that you never expect to feel together suddenly collide. Relief and complete devastation at the same time. People always talk about joy and grief coexisting. The living out of those things, even now, is so wild to me. After that call, I must have looked up flights, I guess. I don't remember looking them up, but the earliest flight that I could get was a Monday morning. This was Sunday. The earliest I could fly was Monday, and I remember just praying that she would still be alive when I got there. I have 0 memory of the flight home. I imagine I was somewhere between shock and all of the memories. I had a cousin who made sure their truck was waiting for me at the airport when I flew in. I remember being so thankful for that. When you're navigating grief and loss, there's so much of the things that are common, like food and, really, there's a lot of food. But when people see the need and meet the need without being asked, without you even really knowing the need, I remember being so thankful for that truck. The drive from the airport, I have 0 memory of. But then pulling up to the hospital, a hospital that I had seen throughout my childhood, it was right down the road from where we lived. And it was like in that moment, all of the memories came flooding in. Over a decade of the addictions that she struggled with, the rehab, the brief, very brief seasons of sobriety, the manipulation, chaos, the hope, the inevitable heartbreak, all of that on loop for so long. And then her kids, 3 beautiful girls, my parents, me and my sisters tied to a ride we couldn't get off of. I remember there would be points where we would be just so mad with her. So done. But if she picked up that phone and called us, we were wherever, whatever, whenever she needed. All of it just funneled into this moment. And then I was there in the hospital room, And she was there, but it wasn't her. It hadn't been her for a long time. Addiction is horrible like that. I remember such weird things from that day. The smell, 100%. I can smell it if I close my eyes. I also remember it was so quiet. It almost felt like I had earmuffs on, which I know it couldn't have been that quiet, but it felt like the calm before the storm or something like that, where it was just so silent. And then I don't know. I know I feel like it was a blur. And then it was December 21st. And that date I'll remember for the rest of my life. 12/21/21. Before I got there, before I flew in, my other sisters witnessed so much more than I did with our sister. There was thrashing, seizing, like you often see with overdose. At some point, we went home and anticipated what following her wishes meant. Thankfully, before that conversation happened, or that forced measure happened, she was gone. I remember we were walking down the hallway, and I don't remember. We had just gotten back to the hospital. I think we had changed and gotten back to the hospital, and we were walking down the long corridor, and somebody started walking with us. And I remember as they're walking with us, they were trying to stop us to let us know that she had passed. And I remember it being whispered in my ear. And then arms instantly around all of us, holding us up. There are little things that I remember for the first time, even now, 4 years later. And I'm constantly amazed at how God designed us to hold memories and how He designed our brain to bridge us out of trauma and to protect us from those things until we can handle it and fully accept it. My mother and a nurse were with her when she passed. In that moment, my parents lost their baby girl. My nieces lost their mother. 5 of us became 4 of us. It's a funny thing to say, but it's come up so much since then. It's one of the most common questions people ask when they're getting to know you. Do you have any siblings? How many? Well, you have sisters? How many? I still say 4. And the emptiness in that room, I remember it just felt like the wind was knocked out of you. Like the emptiness just swallowed the air. And there are no words for that kind of pain. There's only presence. There's only tears. And I wrestle with God. I know we all do. The why questions came in waves. Why her? Why not healing here? Why not restoration? Why not the miracle story that so many others get to tell? I cannot begin to unpack how many stories I have heard in the last 4 years, from addiction to sobriety, from brokenness to recovery, restoration, healing. God, what I would have given to see her live that life. But one thing that I am thankful for, in spite of the ache of what could have been that accompanies those stories, is the people breaking free from addiction and the families that get to be restored. I know what that would have meant to mine. So I celebrate it so much bigger. So much greater than I ever would have before. I would say one of the things that I did feel in this season was my faith stretching and growing, not in spite of the grief, but through it. I feel like a lot of times we feel like we have to be this rock the entire time. And my experience, my perspective is that He is the rock. And if we lean into Him, our faith grows because of how much we're leaning on Him, not because of how much we are able to accomplish within ourselves. Our faith grows with the knowledge of everything that He is there with us, how He holds us in it all. How could your faith not grow? But I do want to unsay something that I heard on repeat whenever we lost her, especially when we got to the first anniversary. People were and are meaning so well. They're always the first to say the things that you probably shouldn't say. One of the things that they say is that the first year is the hardest. But it isn't. It is every year. It is every holiday, every birthday, every family photo with one person missing. It's the moments that they should have been here for, the ones they would have loved, that cut the deepest. I don't know if you've ever read The Body Keeps Score. We've talked about it off and on this podcast. But my body knows when December is coming. It used to be Christmas is coming. The holidays are coming. Turkey is coming. Santa is coming. But now it is December that is coming. It remembers before my mind does. The heaviness that settles in and the echo of that call and the breath knocked out of me all over again. Grief is not something we can pick up and put down. It settles into your bones. And it changes you. And if you lean into God and you lean into the rock and you allow yourself to experience His faithfulness in those dark places, you will change. You will grow. You will have two identifiable versions of yourself: before and after. Whatever the loss is, before and after. I am not who I was before that moment, but I have learned something so sacred. It's what I was talking about earlier, the saying versus the knowing. That grief and joy can coexist, and they often do without us even realizing it. And in the midst of all this ache and Decembers, God has been so present. And the people He's placed in my life, and the doors He's opened, in the absolutely unexpected ways that He has held me upright. Even in this podcast, this space He has woven into my healing. And I don't use the word healing as the end of grief. I use the word healing as the living with grief. It doesn't leave us, but neither does God. I miss her every day. But I choose to remember the best of her. Her laugh, she had the best laugh, one of those that she would laugh with everything. Her fire, her love for her kids, she was the best. When she was fully mom, she was the best. She was the magical mom that played mermaids with her girls. She was the mom that ran with the kids. She was the mom that sat at the kids' table on purpose and loved every second of it. I remember the pieces of her untouched by addiction. I remember her beautiful smile. And I hold on to this truth. She is whole now, healed, with the Jesus who never abandoned her, not once. A Savior who loved her too much to watch her suffer another day. I honestly cannot imagine anyone loving her more than we did, but He does. He absolutely does. And when I remember that He was her father first, that she was His first, I know whatever I feel must be so much bigger for Him. If you're walking through grief this season, hear me. God sees you. He sees the empty chair, the memories, the tears you don't share out loud. And He can handle your anger, your questions, your silence. He is not intimidated by your pain. He sits in it with you. He grieves with you. So I hope that if you take away anything today, that you are gentle with yourself this season, that you make room for whatever your heart needs, whether it's rest or tears or quiet or remembrance. I hope you let yourself feel the moments of joy without guilt. And I also hope you let yourself mourn the moments that hurt. Grief doesn't mean that God is far. Actually, it's where we find Him nearer than ever. I hope that encourages you in this season. I hope it comforts you. I hope you lean into Him because He's right there with you. Thank you for letting me share this piece of my story with you. And if you are carrying grief this holiday season, you are not walking it alone.